Good afternoon. We have a small panel, but I'm sure it's going to be the most exciting. It's my great pleasure to introduce to you two of the biggest advocates of Greek food products and promoters in international markets, Ms. Natasha Linhart of Atlante SRL in Italy and Mr. Panagis Manouilidis of Odyssey Limited in the UK. Natasha, you want to go ahead with your presentation?
Yes, okay, if it's ready. So, shall I move over here?
You can go to the podium. I hope, yeah.
Okay, so
Whatever you prefer.
shall I move this way? Can I use this?
We're going to have two short presentations and then we're going to have a discussion.
Good morning to all. Lovely to see you here, and it's a fantastic honor for me to be here. And first of all, I wanted to thank our Greek partner, Greek Krikri, for having chosen us and invited us to take part in this very important meeting today, in which we really want to honor Greek food in general. So, yes, can I go ahead here? Is there something? This one? Okay. So I'll just take you through a couple of slides. I don't want to bore you, but just to let you know the kind of journey that we've been on over the past few years. Over the past 3 years, I think all of us have been very much involved in a lot of issues and complications which have made our work extremely challenging. We've had inflation and recession, we've had climate change, we've had the war, we've had interest rates going up, and your previous debate on with the banks, I'm sure, have spoken about that. Unemployment, overemployment, commodities flying off the roof, so really difficult, very, very difficult situation. And I think going forward, looking at what the experts are going to say, this year is going to also be complicated in different ways, but one thing is that we learn how to manage complications. So how can we go forward? We've become sort of used to this situation, and the next step is going to be for us all to be able to predict a little bit the unpredictable. In the last few years, we were put in situations with our shoulders against the walls. We didn't know what to do, and we just acted out of impulse. Now we really have to become better at what we do. We have to manage relationships with our customers, with our producers, with the farmers, with everybody in such a very different way as we did in the past. So again, you know, we talk about globalization, but nothing is global anymore because all our problems extend beyond our immediate, let's say, borders. So we know very well, and we have learned that just-in-time culture, and we know it because we've seen our customers who were used to reducing costs to the very bare minimum by having a just-in-time culture, is no longer affordable. We've seen in the past year that in terms of food, the fact of actually managing to have the product on the shelf was more of an issue than managing the price. Then obviously both of them were difficult. We've seen how the unfortunate situation in Europe with the war has created a massive disruption all over the world. We've suddenly realized how dependent we are on Russian gas and energy. I work in Italy, and Italy is massively dependent on energy from Russia. So again there, we're living a situation where we saw in August last year that the Dutch stock exchange told us that the energy was just absolutely crazy for all factories. And this was a massive problem. Fortunately, things have gone down, but we really don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So we really have to be very careful not to manage now a situation where there are possibly some improvements, but we don't know what's happening around the corner. So we saw that everything was a problem last year, from grains to oil to steel to raw materials, of all sorts of problems. And suddenly, again, you know, as I mentioned before, we're aware of how dependent we are on energy from other countries. We never thought about this in the past. So we really, really do believe in the value of win-win relationships based on trust and respect. And trust and respect are easy words that you can say that that's what you desire, that's what you want, but they have to be built over time. And with Kri-Kri, we have really developed this value where we trust each other in what happens. And this, in my view, will be the only way for us to work together in such a complicated future. So just to give you a little bit the journey that we've been on with Kri-Kri, we started many years ago, 5 years ago, and we launched a few yogurts, and then we've worked together mostly to understand, and this is something that really we need to do with all producers, Greek or non-Greek, we really have to understand how you can sort of seduce the market that you want to be in, because yes, we want to sell authentic Greek products, but actually there's a tremendous amount of work that has to be done to make sure that your product is fit for the country. And I don't mean that one has to change radically the core principles of a certain product, but you have to make sure that the product is right. I remember there was one incident in which we worked on the flavors of a certain yogurt, and we realized that actually the Greek flavor, the Italians didn't like it. So we had to go and find blueberries in Siberia to make sure that we had the right flavor. And we worked together with 2 R&D departments to make sure that our product was absolutely right. We moved on and we thought maybe Greek yogurt so successful, we could start working with Kri-Kri on the ice cream project. And this has really moved forward in the last 3 years. We've worked together on developing all sorts of challenging products. It's taken us, and you will remember, it's taken us almost 2 years to find the right biscuit for the Italian market. So, and hopefully we've got it right for this year. So absolutely. So I think that this journey will teach us all that whatever we do has to be done together in collaboration and taking advantage of each other's skills and assets. So this is our boat, and I call it a boat because in the last, a yacht more like, it's a beautiful yacht, with an Italian flag and a Greek flag on it, in which we are mature and responsible, and we can navigate very difficult waters. Hopefully the waters will calm down a little bit, but in order to navigate this kind of boat across the sea from Greece to Italy, we need experienced sailors, and I think we have it in our company and in Kri-Kri, so we're good sailors. So Greece, I mean, Greece is, has always been an incredibly rich country in terms of history and in terms of wealth, and we all recognize that. I mean, the mythology of Greece is everywhere. We studied it, all of us studied the Odyssey and Ulysses and all the lovely adventures of the Greek myths. But all of this has brought us also a tremendous wealth in the gastronomical arena of Greece. So yes, we are experienced in yogurt, and we buy feta, a lot of feta from Greece, but I think there is much more from Greece that can come. Greece is a fantastic place, which is, on one side it's the lovely sea and the sun, there's the big mountains, then on the other side it's the barren lands to the east, so there's a lot to say for Greek cuisine, and I think that we at Atlante, we're totally passionate about food, so we really want to develop this representation of Greece in Italy on a much broader spectrum, and I'm sure that the Italians can easily fall in love with Greek food, because it's very similar, actually. The basic tastes are olive oil, are cheese, are the same kind of herbs, same kind of flavors. Tomato is at the base of all our dishes, eggplant, pastry, cakes. So there's a lot in common. We're not talking about Chinese food. We're talking about Mediterranean wonderful food. So I'm sure that we want to be recognized in Italy as really the best-in-class representatives of Greece with regards to food, and this will be our mission going forward. So thank you very much.
Natasha, thank you very much for your presentation. You mentioned about Odyssey. Here is Odyssey personified. Mr. Panagis Manouilidis. Panagi, please go ahead with your presentation, and then we'll have, it's there. We'll have a discussion.
Καλημέρα σας.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for your invitation.
Good evening. Thank you very much for inviting me here today. It's a great honor to join this summit. I'm going to be very brief. I have a very brief presentation, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit about our journey and about Odyssey, and then I'm going to continue with the discussion. So I started this in 1991 from a stall on Portobello Road, where I was selling olives that I cured at home, and it all grew from there. My first retail customer was Harvey Nichols in 1992. And that was, the timing was fantastic. It was the boom of the Mediterranean, awareness of the Mediterranean diet, and the boom of olive oil. And it all grew from there. 32 years since that, we are now have a fantastic product range, which is the best of the Mediterranean, Eastern Mediterranean. We focus on Eastern Mediterranean, but we focus on 5 products: olives, olive oil, feta, a little bit less on yogurt and honey. But we are known as a Greek supplier, and with data that I have from Nielsen, last year we were the fastest growing brand in olive oil in the UK under the Odyssey brand. This year we are the fastest growing brand in olives and antipasti. We work with very small producers and some very big producers. We have built relationships over 30 years. And we value loyalty, we value long-term relationships, and we've worked with most of our suppliers for a very, very long time. It is the same with our customers, and it is the same with our employees. But we use some very small suppliers to produce some very niche products of very high quality, and we also use some very big factories so that we can service the mass market. So, as I said before, everything is built on loyalty. Our relationships with customers, with producers, and with our employees. We have employees that have worked with us for a very long time. We've done well, so we are giving some of it back. We planted 5,000 trees this year in the burned areas of Greece. We work closely with the Cerebral Palsy Society and with the Royal Marsden Cancer Fund. And every year we make donations to these charities. as I told you before about the growth of our brands, but over the years, we have won 78 Great Taste Awards. And we are very proud of that. And again, some of these products have been produced by very small producers and some by very big factories. Since Portobello and Harvey Nichols, we now supply Sainsbury's, is our biggest customer, and we have a very strong relationship. Co-op, Waitrose, Marks and Spencer's, Whole Foods, airlines, Ocado, and we are slowly expanding outside the UK. Ireland, of course, is an obvious one because it's next door, but we now supply a little bit to Germany, Norway, and Iceland. I don't think I have anything else to say. I do. Sorry. We play in all categories, so ambient, chilled, and frozen. We have introduced spanakopita in the supermarkets. I call it the Greek pizza. It is the Greek pizza. And it's doing phenomenally well. We are working with some small suppliers to introduce traditional yogurts, Greek yogurts, not strained ones, but the ones with the crust on top. We have a fantastic range of vinegars, not all Greek, and great honey. And you may have noticed recently that British honey has been picked by the European Union as non-compliant, basically as not being real honey. There is a big issue in that. We are proud to have our authentic Greek honey in the United Kingdom supermarkets. As you probably all know, life in Greece evolves around the kitchen and around the table. And we want what we create, we want that to reflect that and to reflect the Greek lifestyle. And so we only sell food that we would happily share with our family. If we don't like it, we just won't sell it. Thank you very much.
And now I have the opportunity to ask you some questions. You both mentioned your journey with Greek food products, and I would like to hear what you feel most passionate about, or your challenges, and what are your biggest achievements, but basically what you feel passionate about. Natasha?
Food. So food is definitely a passion, and it always has been. And also a passion I have is to really understand end-to-end supply chain, so really understand how products are made, and understanding really how the raw ingredients combine with the talent and with the know-how of whoever makes them and puts them then on the table. So I would say that's the passion. With regards to challenges, and particularly with regards to Greece, I would say, apart from the relationship we have with Kri-Kri, where we speak the same language, I mean, their language is Greek, but we can speak English. I would say that one of the biggest challenges we've had with smaller producers is communication. Greek is written in another way, it's spoken in another way, so to really understand the needs and the requirements is sometimes a challenge.
Does this work?
I don't know why we need the microphone.
I don't know. They told me to use it. Do we need to use it? Yes.
Panagi, can we hear you? Yeah, go ahead.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So what is
What's your passion?
My passion is food. It's authentic products.
We can tell that your passion is food. We can tell that your passion is food.
Authentic products, small producers. Sometimes I go to exhibitions or I go to suppliers and I find something which is really unique and that has probably got no commercial value whatsoever, but I'm still very tempted to take it out to market because it is so unique and because it is what it should be rather than what has been manipulated to be sold. Although commercially, I do have to do both.
Challenges and achievements?
Challenges,
You don't have the language challenge. You don't have the language challenge.
I don't have the language challenge, no. We bridge the gap between the UK consumer and the UK supermarket to the UK factory.
The Greek factory.
If that gap did not exist, we wouldn't be in business. And it is always a challenge to get factories to comply with the requirements of our customer. And every country has got different requirements and different peculiarities. The UK is very peculiar, and they have some requests which are sometimes seem unreasonable, and that's a challenge because you come here and you tell them, you have to do that, and they say, oh. And that is probably the biggest challenge. The achievement, I think that there are many achievements that I think we are proud of. One, the biggest for me would be the fact that working with small producers who were based in villages that were dying and people were leaving, and we have regenerated life. We have brought people back to these villages to work in these industries which have grown from a very small base, and they're still small, but life goes back to the village, and that is something which is extremely important for Greece, I think. The second is olives. We created the market for olives in the UK. We were the first ones to sell olives over the deli counter, so we created a concept that doesn't really exist. It's called fresh olives. Then we took this to the supermarkets, and we were selling olives over the deli counter for many years. And of course, the biggest disappointment was that at some point we lost it. And we lost it because we did not invest in the UK to produce this there. And with the 7 days transport that we have from Greece, we did not manage to keep it.
Natasha, you mentioned about win-win relationships, and I'm sure it's not just with the suppliers, it's also with your clients. How do you bridge that? And what is the importance of trust and respect in all this?
Well, I think it all starts from within the company. I mean, our vision is to be a place where our colleagues love to work. And so this is the first step, to have passion within the company. The passion within the company then is sort of by a process of osmosis, is sometimes reflected onto our business partners, whether they be customers or producers. I mean, we're all in the same boat. At the end of the day, we all have to try and make I mean, we're not Médecins Sans Frontières, we are buying and selling products and trying to make a little profit in the middle. But if we can do this in a passionate way and in an honest way, and really expressing the values of integrity, of respect, of inclusion, all of this is what underpins our strategy of the company. So I would say that, to go to your question, this is how we do it. We start from within with values that I personally truly believe in, and that somehow the others too, because at the end we're human beings and we all like those kind of values. And so when you find that they're possible to work in an environment where these values are reflected, it's better.
Natasha, thank you for sharing this insight. It's very valuable to all of us here. Panagi, how do you build win-win relationships? How you balance the supplier-client relationship?
As I said before, we value loyalty. So we work, we have lengthy relationships with suppliers. We work with them. We are very open. We are open with costs, with our customers and with our suppliers. You know, it is what it is. Costs are costs. They are there for everyone. As long as everybody understands that everybody has to make a profit on that journey or make it a success, then it's a joint project. That's how we create win-win relationships. Tolerance. You have to tolerate sometimes, you know, people change within organizations, buyers change, national account managers change, and, you know, they come with an attitude and they can be unreasonable. You have to tolerate that and be patient, and it will change. If they know your values and the way you work, you're going to get there.
During the last few years, Natasha, as you mentioned, we experienced major crises. I don't want to name them, there were too many. How do you see the business environment developing? How these crises have affected demand and the focus of retailers and consumers?
Well, I mean, am I using this correctly? Yes?
We can hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me with this? Shall I go with this? So if we look at, you know, what the experts say with regards to the future, I'm talking about, you know, McKinsey and Global Boston Consultants and all of these people. Basically, they present three scenarios. What they call the soft landing, very soft landing. So this year already everybody agrees, our countries and our governments are all perfect and they do great financial fiscal rules. The war in Ukraine kind of tapers off or doesn't really get any worse, and inflation goes down and recession goes down, and each country starts going back to a GDP which is towards 2%, so fantastic. In that case, that's scenario one, but I think extremely improbable. Scenario two is that something goes right, something doesn't go right, and we hope to come out of this difficult situation where there's supply chain problems, there's commodity problems, there's inflation, there's cost of money and all of this. So this could go on for the whole of 23-24. The really bad situation is that we don't manage it. All our governments don't agree on anything. The war gets worse. And therefore we can start thinking about coming out of this situation only at the end of 2025. So we're hoping in scenario two, which would be not bad. I think we've got another year in front of us which is going to be extremely difficult. We were talking last night about the management of expectation of deflation is almost more difficult than managing inflation. So I think our customers now are all very anxious to see an inversion of the tendency of prices. So, and also our final consumers, we see that volumes are going down. I mean, when you have an inflation of 20-30% on certain products, on some products 50%. We saw feta last year was out of the roof. And people can't afford it because salaries are still more or less unchanged. So I think that we're going to have to manage a question of volumes this year, see where they go, try and pick areas of success and go ahead with the areas of success.
Panagi?
The future or the past?
Start with the past and continue with the future.
Okay. the past, okay, we have seen a banking crisis that started with Lehman. We had capital controls in Greece. That was very difficult for suppliers and for everything. So we went through a journey of difficulty. And then we had COVID, Brexit and COVID. Brexit has affected us as much as it has affected everyone. So, you know, costs are costs, customs are customs. When you bring big quantities and you trade by container, it doesn't really affect you. If you trade in trucks or in part loads and you are a small supplier in the UK, then I think you had a problem. COVID, we thrived. I mean, we have never done better, ever, because we sell to the multiples. If you only sold to the food service, you were dead. But if you sold to the multiples, then, you know, business really thrived for us. And so now we are in a difficult situation because with inflation, pockets are very tight, so people are not buying as much. Plus, we are coming from a period where people were buying a lot because they were staying in. So we see a decline in volumes, but the increase in prices counteracts the decline in value. So how is that going to play? I do not know. Actually, I don't think we're going to have a deflation. There has never been deflation. We will have deflation in some commodity products, and probably in pasta there's going to be a correction. But I think just inflation at some point is going to stop. And we are not going to have any more the numbers that we are seeing now. Supermarkets, of course, are pushing for deflation. They are pushing for a price decrease, but it's their job to do that. And, you know, prices are prices. Again, as I said before, if you have a win-win relationship, you know, these commodity prices are there. You see them. You can put them down on a piece of paper. This is the model. That's what we make. This is the price to you. You can sell it as much as you like.
Environmental sustainability and ESG is becoming increasingly a big issue. And how do you see this affecting the food industry?
Yes, this is definitely a topic which all of us have to take into consideration going forward. I mean, when in the past there was a total unawareness of what we do and the impact of what we do on the environment. So definitely each one of us will have to, within Europe in any case, we also have to have, as from 2025, I think, a sustainability balance sheet at the end of the year for all our companies. So this will be definitely an objective which is important. But we also have to transfer what we say we're going to do from paper, from theory to practice, even if it's very small tasks. And I think even the smallest production company should single out what it really can do and do it. In our company, we have decided, and we work with about 170 different producers, so we have to make sure that all of them are doing a little bit to contribute in some way to the sustainability of the planet. For us in Atlante, we've basically created 3 different pillars. One is the environment and CO2 emissions. So basically that's very much connected to supply chain. So we're trying to improve the loading of all the trucks, make sure that they're all full, not waste any space. We're trying to transfer whatever we can by train as opposed to road, by ship instead of road. So we're doing a bit of work on that, and already that has given us some advantages. We're working with producers to see what their impact is and possibly favor favor their projects. Then we're working on products. So on products, meaning not only packaging, even though that's an important part of it, so reduction. We know that with Krikri, in the last couple of years, we've reduced the plastic in the pots, and it's, I can't remember the volume, but it's thousands of tons of plastic which we've saved just by reducing the thickness of the pot. So packaging is one account, but also the nutrition and the value of the actual products, the goodness of the products. So in line with expectations of what we're going to be in 10, 15, 20 years, we need a lower calorie count, we need a higher protein count, we need to avoid any kind of preservatives which could be unhealthy, so we're working on product. The third pillar is people. So this is much more of an ethical part. So people, starting from our people within our company, we want a policy of inclusion, we want a policy of favoring the development of women within our company. We want to make sure that there is a plan, a specific plan for women who come back from maternity leave and are welcomed back into the company as real members of the team, and not just as second-class citizens who, poor ladies, they've just had a baby, so they're not worth the position. So the position of women is extremely important, open to all kinds of nationalities. In our company, we have 16 different nationalities. We have all the religions under the sun, including none. So very inclusive and open society. We work very much with making sure that some of our producers, especially in very rural areas, respect the labor laws of the country. So people is a very important part in all senses. We work with companies in faraway countries like in Southeast Asia and Asia itself, and where the rules are different, but we try to make a difference there too for the local people and the local population. So sustainability, I think, is something that everybody must take very seriously, but must do and not just say they're going to do.
Thank you, Natasha. Panagi?
Plastic is a big issue. Recycling industries will thrive, but the amount they can recycle is finite. In the UK, there is a plastic tax now that has been introduced, but it hasn't really helped because the price of glass has gone up so much and the price of metal has gone up so much that the supermarkets, in order to be able to service the demand for cheap products, are still buying plastic, even though they say that, by 2025, we have to have zero plastic. We are trying. We demand from all suppliers now our PET, and we are trying to find solutions for recyclable plastic. I don't think we are there yet. I don't think we are very far away, but we are definitely not there yet. Soya, there's a big awareness from the public in the UK of soya fields basically claiming rainforest land. So that is becoming an issue, and soya slowly is being seen as an X.
Off limits.
Yes, it's off limits. And the other one is, of course, palm oil. That is coming out of the food chain in the UK because of the awareness of the forests and the habitat of orangutans in Indonesia and Borneo. And so we are going back to butter, but butter is going up, so that's another difficulty. And it's difficult. We are going to get out of it at some point, I'm sure. Climate, that's a nightmare for our products anyway, for olives and olive oil. This year has been a disaster, not in Greece. So for Greece, it's a fantastic opportunity. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to penetrate on a good, better, best, to penetrate the good shelf, which is the basis, the basic product, with Greek olive oil and Greek olives. We are never going to have this opportunity again. I haven't seen it in the 33 years that I've been doing this. But again, will this change? If I look in my crystal ball, I will say that rain is going to be less and less and less over the years. But the olive trees will learn. They always do.
Yeah, I think one point to add to this is that actually, yes, one of the dilemmas we have is that we still have our final customers who struggle to make ends meet and have a limited amount of money to do their shopping. And so for them, sustainability is too expensive. And that's the majority of the population, let alone outside of Europe. I mean, we know that in Europe we have more or less 8% of the family income which is spent on food, 8 to 10%, more or less. If we go to places like Ethiopia, it's 95%. So sustainability, we're talking about it in Europe, and already for us, rich Europeans, it's already an expensive topic. So yes, you were saying before, the retailers, they're looking at price, but they still want it to be sustainable. So, yes. So it's a difficult conversation.
It's a very difficult conversation, and not only that, but again, you have good, better, best, and good is the low-priced product, and that is at the moment is thriving, of course, because pockets are very tight, and so middle is really suffering. The interesting thing is that best is thriving as well. So things that are very expensive, that means that the gap, the spread between very rich and very poor is growing. That's another issue as regards sustainability, a huge issue in the UK.
And one last quick question. What is your advice to Greek food companies in order to succeed in global markets? Short answer, Natasha.
Well, I think that Greek producers are blessed with the fact that you have basically good ingredients and delicious products. So that should be the basis for success. So maintain delicious ingredients and wonderful final products. My advice would be to, one, learn English well. Two, as my colleague here was saying, make sure that your companies have the right, not only the right certification, because the certification is important as a piece of paper, but actually that the processes are in line with what is expected from the retailers in other countries. You're a country which has, what, 8 million people? Something like that, no? 7, 8 million people?
10, 11.
Yeah, 10 million. You can feed the world, actually, with your delicious products. So you go to countries like Italy, which has close to 70 million people, so 10 times as much. You go to the UK, the same, Germany, the same, France, Spain, all these countries which are close by, which are now open, even traditional countries like Italy, start thinking about eating something different to pasta and to their delicious products, but because the Italians have delicious products too. But they're starting to be curious. They come to Greece on holiday, they love it, they go back home and they say, let's do the moussaka, or let's do the, you know, the whatever the dishes are. So I think it's important if you can really create within your companies a food safety environment which can make the retailers feel comfortable with the safety of your products. So that, I would say, is very important.
Παναγί.
We have very good products in Greece. Everybody tells me you have the best in the world. No. We have competition out there, and it's serious competition. So evaluate it. That's one. Try to convince the government and your colleagues in the tourism industry to create a culinary tourism. The Italians have a fantastic culinary. You go there and you go to the last restaurant and you know they have fantastic food, fantastic presentation, fantastic service, fantastic everything. You come here, you know, British people come here, unfortunately for them, and unfortunately for us, they demand fish and chips. And we give them fish and chips. That is monstrous. That is, you know, the worst thing we can do. So work with the tourism industry. Promote Greek food. We have some fantastic food. We have veganism. Okay, it's going through the roof at the moment. Veganism, fake veganism, which is a steak made from whatever, from soya, has plateaued. But real veganism, so beans, artichokes, whatever, that is growing and it's still growing. You have the Mediterranean diet, which is the Cretan diet of the late 50s from mountainous Crete. Work on that. That is what you need to serve to the tourists that come here. That's fantastic. It sells olive oil, it sells vegetables, it's vegan, it's healthy, and nobody has it. You go to the restaurants in the summer, and very few restaurants have things like that. Work with them. Try to work with them, and then you can recreate it in your factories to sell to the markets. The markets are hungry for products like that.
This is a vision we have at the Agrotech Export cluster to start this, but it's a future project. Natasha, Panagi, thank you very much for a wonderful and very, very insightful conversation. I'm sure our audience and the people following us on streaming are really excited about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.